70 partout.
All right. Let's get into some of the things that we want to talk about.
Let's start with the I guess the funnier of the two stories.
Yeah, let's do the Democratic Socialists. Point of privilege.
So
I think
before one thing, Andy, you doing the jazz hands doesn't work. So like you could
Right.
be point of privilege. Jazz hands is actually very racist, and it's
it's like very ableist. All right, jazz
yeah,
hands are ableist.
I
Quick
wish you had been there,
aside,
Andy.
during the party, a lot of the for a lot of the kids, it was the first time seeing a crippled man, and so like they naturally were curious and asked me about my hands, and so I gave them the standard line that I give kids is like, and that is when they asked like what happened to your hands, I said, oh, this is what happens when you eat too much candy. It's like, you don't eat too much candy, do you?
Horrible nuclear explosion. That's what happened to me.
Yeah. I mean, I used to say like, oh, back in the day, back when I was growing up, if you messed up 3 times, then they'd stick your hands in fire.
I love it. Or it's like, this is what happens when you don't wash your hands.
Yeah, I know, right? I never used to wash my hands after the bathroom. It's like now I'll never be able to wash them again.
That's what you get.
Yeah. But anyways, back to the Democratic Socialists. If you didn't know, was it last week or just this past weekend? I forget.
I don't know if like it was actually last week or the video surfaced last week about this group.
That's right.
And because I don't think it was a public event, but someone kind of was there filming and released the video to I laughed my ass off. It was cringeworthy yet hilarious at the same time.
Right. No, so they obviously recorded this in the attempt to draw more people to their movement, but it ended up just being this. It just ended up being a meme. It just ended up being a meme. Because like here is like this auditorium full of people, and they're barely able to get out their mission statement, let alone anything else. And like every few seconds, like like point of privilege. I'm really sensitive to auditory stimuli, and if we could all refrain from clapping our hands, that'd
and
be
whispering.
Right, and then like whoever was speaking is like, yes, let's all be sensitive and do the jazz hands.
Yeah. Oh, that guy was like 4 or 5 times within the first 10 minutes of this damn thing. It's like, oh, sorry, point of privilege, and my name is blah blah blah, and it's like, oh my god, dude, I would if I had been, it's like, dude, shut the fuck up, like sit down, like at least let's get 10 minutes.
What about the ma'am who was complaining about gendered language?
Oh yeah, that after it was like after the guy's like 5th quip of guys, point of privilege, and it's like, and then this guy like runs up like 10 seconds after that. It's like, stop using point of privilege, stop using gendered language, and it's like,
no, it was hilarious because it was the ma'am from the GameStop, I believe.
Was that actually him? Like, was it actually that guy? I mean, it sounded a lot like him, and it sounded and looked like him.
Right, exactly. And I think I forget because I saw the video from Amazing Lucas, and I think he does a voice comparison, and like kind of like from like because the shot that you see is from the back, so you don't get to actually see his face. But just going off like how he sounded, it sounded a lot like the man from the GameStop video.
It did. because I was like, man, I feel like I've seen this person before.
Mm-hmm.
And then because I know it was. So then let's see. So you saw it from a different source. I saw that like because Paul Joseph Watson was talking about this too, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like
Oh yeah, I
it
saw that video too.
he noticed that too. Yeah. So I'm wondering. Yeah, that may be the case. It may have been him. And
Yeah.
I don't care about misremembering these people. Like I'm not gonna lie and say it's a her.
Right. 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 No. Let's. Let's. Yeah, you know. And it's funny because um, I realized something, and it's like the it's like it's crazy that the delusion that they live in and that which they call reality.
Yeah.
It's literally a delusion because they expect everyone to placate or to somehow play along with their subjective view of reality.
Right.
And I was just kind of thinking about that, and I was thinking about myself, and I was like, what if I was like that? What if I constantly cried out about like, oh, I can't use, I can't use a fucking knife and fork simultaneously. And I'm like, what if I was at like a steakhouse and I cried ableist privilege and like made a huge stink and got like Black Angus closed down for their discrimination or whatever. And I think
Yeah.
it's like how insufferable would I be as a person? Like, who would want to be around me, other than like
I
these?
certainly would.
Exactly. I mean, other than like these other fucking lunatics. And it's like, and I realize why a lot of like the leftist like tactics don't work on me specifically because I'm someone who has to live in reality. You know, and like because there's no other way for me to I can live. It's like I have to be realistic. I have to live in reality and like yes there's a lot of things that I can do. There are, but there's only a few things that I can't do. And I have to be okay with that. And
Right.
there are certain things that I can't do, and I'll never be able to do, and so I have to make my peace with that, and then move on.
Right. The it's with my ex, she for a little bit in her life when she was younger, she was kind of like would get in that way where it's like, oh, why does nobody like cater to me, blah, all this stuff. And she told me like the story like that her parents like kind of sat her down and was like, listen, it obviously like we're your parents, we care about you, but other people don't. It's like it's if you don't find a way to work around your situation, you will always like you'll never get anywhere. And you know you're not going to be not liked by people, but it's like you're going to be alone
Yeah,
because
people are just gonna avoid you,
right, no one's going to go out of their way to help you, so
right?
you
And
have to find
also,
a way to
like,
do it on your
no
own.
one is required to care about you. I mean,
Exactly.
outside of parents or loved ones or very close friends, like no one is required to give a shit about you. You know, and
And
that's something that that I dealt had to like I slowly became starting to like came to realize, and it's like, huh, yeah, like yeah, no one has to give a shit about me. It's like, all right, so I just, have to be as capable as I possibly can be, and every once in a while I ask for like the help every now and then.
I sigh. It's like fine. But no, and that's I mean it doesn't matter if you're handicapped or what. It's no one cares about your issues. You have to find a way to work through them yourself. And it's like you as like my friend, you might care. I mean, but there's not a lot that you might be able to do to really help other than show your support and kind of like, hey, you can do it, kind of giving that encouragement. And sometimes for me, that's all I really need. It's like, hey,
Right.
just kind of
Yeah.
you're yeah, it's like you've gone through so many other situations and you come out on top. What makes this one, how how can you not overcome this one? What especially as as Christians too, it's like you have the most powerful person in anywhere on your
in the
side. Like,
universe. Yeah, you have the most
yeah,
powerful being in the universe in your corner as a believer, as a Christian. You have
yeah,
the most powerful being in the universe in your corner. You know, you know, always willing to help you. And you're saying that you can't get through your day because of clapping. I mean,
exactly.
if
Well,
if
these
that was the
people,
case, if that was if that this I'm using this I'm using like the clapping thing as an example of if a Christian if there was such a Christian who was triggered by clapping, it's like you have the greatest force in the universe in your corner, and you're saying that clapping somehow makes you feel unsafe.
yeah, it's
Again,
ridiculous.
if you are a believer, if you believe in Jesus Christ, if you believe, if you are, made one with Him through the sacrament, the sacraments and whatnot, then
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Like how uh, I don't know how these people make it through a day with all this stuff, and which is part of me thinks that a lot of it's all bullshit. Like they don't actually feel this way, but when they have a platform like where there's people watching them, they want to just be as ridiculous and get they're I won't. I mean, narcissist is kind of thrown around now, but it's kind of that like, ooh, I want the attention, so I'm gonna be as ridiculous as they'll do whatever it takes to get that attention for
mm-hmm.
themselves. Because in normal everyday life, it's no one cares about them. And what I talking about this, it makes me think of Simpsons reference upcoming is with the comic book guy. I forget what the episode is, but what it starts off where they're at the mall and the comic book guy is trying to return this utility
Oh
belt that he won at some
yeah.
contest, and it's the guy is kind of making fun of him, and
Right.
then Bart's trying to like buy the belt for like $1 or something like that. It's like
Right. He was like, because the comic book guy won this. Sorry about that.
yeah, no
Um,
worries. So it's yeah, he won this utility belt. He's trying to
right at
return it.
a Star Wars convention, and what is it? Yeah, and he tries to return it to like one of those like Brookstone places, and the what is it? The clerk or whatever is just like giving him all like you know all the entire dump truck full of sass his way.
Yeah, yeah, it's like, ooh, a sassy Star Trek fan. Like, you must be a Casanova with the ladies.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like just like giving him like just dumping on him constantly. It's like where it's like he's like saying like, oh, this is a medium-sized belt, and as you know, like no Star Trek fan, can wears like medium,
Yeah, it's
and
like,
just like, and then so he's like, and so like the clerk is like, all right, well, there's no receipt, so no exchange or no refund. And it
right.
was at
And
like
that's,
that lowest point where Bart comes in and is like, oh, I'll give you $1, and so he
it's
gets
like,
to the belt.
oh,
But yeah, it's just
all
like,
right. And it's
but
like, I shall return to the comic book store where I dish out the insults rather than receive them. And that's what these people are. They're the fat comic book guy, where it's like they go to this type of platform, or they'll go to places where they can make themselves look like they're like, oh, like they're the shit. And in reality, it's like these people are, I hate to use this word, but they're useless. They provide nothing to society whatsoever. Maybe they do. I don't know. Maybe some of them like do something nice for somebody every once in a while, but for the most part, these people are useless. They are in college, teaching gender studies, They're maybe they're working at some like leftist blog somewhere.
Yeah,
Worshiping
they're making money.
AOC, worshiping AOC and Bernie
We all know
Sanders.
that we all know leftists suck at business.
So it's like, I mean, they're not necessarily on welfare per se, but they're not really helping society either. In fact, I think it's more of a degradation of the they degrade culture and morality more than anything else.
Right. Yeah, because I'm sure some of them are your baristas or whatever, but other than that, it's like, well, no one really cares that you do like some sort of goat therapy, or you try to rehabilitate hamsters. It's just like but can you change your tire? Can you reset a circuit? Could you reset what is it, that thing in the house?
Oh, reset the circuit breaker.
Yeah, reset the circuit breaker. Do you know how to turn a wrench? Yeah, because
It's
because the joke is like they wouldn't last 10 minutes. They wouldn't last 10 minutes of a power outage.
I was like, oh my god, Instagram is down.
But I mean, but on the flip side of all of this, I think what a lot of people are failing to acknowledge is that these people are dangerous, and we all laugh at their kind of over the top kind of reactions, like point of privilege and gendered language and all. But yeah, if you take a look at that clip again, like that auditorium, I mean, regardless of how big it was, it was full. It was full. It was filled with
Yeah.
people, and we forget that that is the prevailing attitude, prevailing mindset at schools, in society at large. That is the prevailing thought. That is the prevailing kind of outlook on everything, particularly in academia.
Well, this is what we talked about a few weeks ago, talking about with Joseph McCarthy and how he, not only was he right, he didn't go far enough. And the communists have had even before Stalin and World War II, they had infiltrated a lot of
Yeah, a lot
the
of the
West,
unions, a lot of the
especially
trade union. Well, not
especially
necessarily the trade unions, but a lot of like the Hollywood trade unions.
well, they went after culture. They infiltrated Hollywood.
Mhm.
They infiltrated the government. They infiltrated all these places. The schools.
Yeah,
They
academia.
infiltrated the teacher unions, the academic unions, and when obviously there was at the height of the beginning of the Cold War, right after World War II, is where there was even before McCarthy went on his uh, investigations. They had found like where we had a lot of communists that had invaded these areas, and McCarthy, like, he was on the right track. He didn't go far enough, and because he was vilified and stopped.
Well, yeah, because also
This
because they also infiltrated the media. So of course, like they made McCarthy seem like this zealot, going after people merely for having and I mean, this is history all over again. This is like this. It's it's the media made him out to be someone who's just going after people of opposing viewpoints. That
Yeah,
was it.
and
Like
it's
it's like no, they're like, oh, they're not trying to overthrow America or corrupt the youth or whatever. There's people with different opinions.
and we look back at that time period, it's like, holy shit, he was right. These
Yeah.
people were, I mean, not necessarily the president, but they were at the top levels of influential, not some insignificant bureaucrat. They were actually influential people that, where it's like kind of because of that, China fell to communism, and oh man, it's
Yeah, I mean, what did
and
like what did communism do to China? It hollowed out their entire civilization. There's an entire generation of Chinese people who don't know anything about Chinese culture or like the history, because once
right,
communism came in, they gutted the entire society, the culture, the civilization. Like there was 1,000 years of Chinese history that was not taught to the people of China, and who have like no idea where they come from, or you know what they've done in the past.
yeah,
And
and
now it's like happening here too. Like a lot of kids now, they have no idea what the American Revolution was actually all about, or what was at stake. They just think like, oh, white men bad, they had slaves bad, but
well,
they
it's all the
yeah, it's all
revisionist
revisionist
history,
history.
or just not teaching it whatsoever, and a generation or two passes, and you kind of like, and it sneaks up like further. It's like, no, it goes from like not teaching it, and then it's like, ooh, we're gonna vilify it. Ugh. It's where this is why the majority of the people are leftist in a lot of ways, and like when you look at and you show them the truth, you bring light to the situation, it's they have to shut you down and deperson you and
Of course
deplatform
not,
you
because yeah,
because
their whole perspective and viewpoint is that we're victims, and you have power and victimhood. No, it's victimhood isn't bad, but it's not good either. It's
right. Well,
yeah, victimhood is a neutral thing. Yes, we show compassion to people who have been victimized, but we shouldn't reward victimhood.
well, that's the thing. That's what they're trying to do. They've made victimhood power. So
Right,
it's like if
exactly.
you can show like how much like, oh, uh, I'm a part of this race and I have this problem and blah, like I'm such a victim, and they're trying to win the victimhood Olympics, because you win that, you have all the power, because people will, for what, they'll give you that platform to shout your bullshit.
Hmm.